I'm happy to stand on this MPI. Short stay accommodation, including vacation rentals, service apartments, boutique lodgings, play an important role in our visitor economy, our local economy, and enhancing tourism. These accommodations provide flexible and diverse lodging options for travellers, catering to different budgets and preferences. Their economic impact extends far beyond the hospitality industry, benefiting local businesses, employment and overall economic growth. One of those primary benefits of short stay accommodation is their ability to attract a broad range of tourists. As tourism increases, so does spending in local restaurants, shops, attractions and entertainment venues, directly benefiting small businesses and communities. Additionally, short stay accommodations create job opportunities in various sectors. Property management, cleaning services, maintenance and customer support roles are all essential to running these accommodations. Moreover, the demand for local suppliers, from food and beverage providers to interior decorators, grows as property owners seek to enhance their offerings. Importantly, Tasmania has one of the clearest
Ms Burnett is also
planning policies.
Sorry, the behaviour doesn't, then the warnings don't stop at the end of question time. We'll have a seemingly private member's time today.
Tasmania is one of the clearest planning policies in Australia on short stay accommodation, with flexible planning rules that support data collection to inform local policy. Any council that has a case to support further limits on short stay can apply local restrictions with the approval of the Independent Planning Commission. Our approach is fair, consistent and simple to administer compared to that with other jurisdictions, which place a limit on the number of nights that short stay accommodation can operate a year. In support of our balanced planning regulations, we also seek to incentivise the return of some properties to the longer term rental market to boost housing supply. Our 2030 strong plan for Tasmania's future includes our extension of land tax exemptions for those that switch from short stay accommodation to long-term rental. Now, on the other hand, Honourable Speaker, the Greens talk a lot and proselytise about short stay accommodation as if it's the boogeyman and solely responsible for constraining housing supply in Tasmania. The reality is they should be looking in the mirror. Greens members in this place and their counterparts in local government are often responsible for blocking hundreds, if not thousands, of homes being built and added to the housing supply. They often say that in response that they're adhering to or respecting the planning rules, but the truth is, Speaker, the only respect the Greens have for the planning rules in this state is to use it as a tool to block development. From March 2016 up until the 2022 council elections, the Greens planning spokesperson, Ms Burnett, voted against 536 dwellings. 256 were recommended for approval by planning officers. Over 30% of dwellings assessed in that period that came to council and were assessed by elected members were rejected during that period when Ms Burnett was chair of the planning committee. In fact, whether a DA for housing meets the planning rules or not seems completely uncorrelated to whether the Greens support it or not. The Welcome Stranger, for example, is a development that would have provided 52 dwellings and was recommended for refusal by the planning officers. The Greens unsurprisingly opposed it, and that housing supply was lost. But conversely, the DA at 202 Macquarie Street for 40 dwellings was recommended emphatically for approval by planning officers, and the Greens opposed it, and it didn't happen. The Greens planning spokesperson, whom I sat across in the Hobart Council chambers for a number of years, as well as other Green councillors, routinely campaigned for policies such as building height restrictions and other policies that constrain densification and constrain inner city development and infill. Now in this place, as the Greens planning spokesperson, in response to our government's expansion of the urban growth boundary, called it urban sprawl and suggested that instead the focus should be on promoting inner city development. So it just seems that they're not happy one way or another. The only consistency is that they're against it. The reality is, Honourable Speaker, Honourable Deputy Speaker, the Greens haven't seen a development that they don't oppose. Their only consistency in their policies on this is their opposition to anything happening in their state, opposition to the constructions of homes and opposition to the visitor economy. Whether something's backed by the planning rules, they're against it, and if it's not backed by the planning rules, they'll sit there and they'll use that call to authority. You know, people need to respect the planning laws, but the Greens don't have any respect for those planning laws. We saw it so often in my time on the Hobart Council, when Green members of the council, including Ms Burnett, would call up short stay applications knowing absolutely objectively that it met the provisions of the planning scheme, called it up, voted against it, causing that council tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees defending a case that they already knew was a cut and dry approval. So the only consistency here is the Greens' ability to say no. On the other hand, our government is one that recognises that it's important to get this balance right, Deputy Speaker, and we continue to allow so many Tasmanians and visitors to our beautiful state to visit and make use of short stay accommodation options across
Member's
Tasmania.
time has expired.
Thank you.
Ms.